on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Tobago, it's goat racing in July. Thursday, 25th July 2024. Come out to the Buku Integrated Facility from 3 p.m. for a time of goat racing. Hosted by the Tobago Goat Owners Association. Only $20 for children, $40 for adults. Refreshments will be on sale. Goat racing in July. Thursday, 25th July 2024, 3 p.m. Come out at the Buku Integrated Facility.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adanna Combie, and we continue conversations this morning. In studio, we speak with Mr. Winston Skeete, a goat owner and a member of the Tobago Goat Owners Association, and Assemblyman Sonny, who is the area representative and, of course, a part of the initiative for goat racing for Heritage Festival 2024. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Thank you for having us here. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
All right. And of course, we just saw that ad there running. Viewers, you saw that ad. We were engaging with that ad this morning running there. And of course, you know, it's exciting times, you know. As the ad mentioned, we're going to have goat racing in July. I know we're used to having it around the Easter period. And, you know, we're having it also for Heritage Festival. And as you mentioned before we came on set, we didn't have it last year. And so we're bringing it back this year. Let's talk a little bit about the importance and the significance of goat racing here on the island of Tobago as it relates to our culture, because we're talking about heritage now, which is part of our culture. So let's talk about the importance and the impact it has on our culture.
Well, you know, goat race has been around for more than 90 years, right? And it's a sport that is loved and cherished. It's a passionate sport to those who really are in the game, and the audience looking on totally enjoy the races. Mr. Skeete here, he's one of the guys who has been in the goat race. Is all your life, Mr. Skeete? You were a jockey and so on also?
55 years.
55 years.
I was in it from when I was 20.
Yes.
20 years.
So is it you're trying to tell us that you're 75? You're trying to convince us that you're 75?
16 days. 75.
All right. And looking good. You know, and of course, you know, as you mentioned, you know, you've been in it for so long. It means that goat racing is rooted in our culture.
Yes.
It definitely is. And what I like about goat racing is the fact that, I mean, where else in the world you're going to see people, you know, training goats for a race?
Yeah.
You know, only if we take it there to them. I like that very much. Only if we take it there to them. And tell us, why is it so important? Because there are some traditions and some parts of our culture that we have been losing. And the heritage season is a time where we can revisit the things that are cultural to us and significant to us here in Tobago that you can't even find in Trinidad. Why is it important to preserve some of those cultures, and primarily goat racing?
It's a love for it. When you get into it, like, you doesn't want to get out. But you have to love it. Don't go into it because of finance, because it doesn't have much finance in it. But you go for the love and the bragging rights.
Yes.
When the Easter, when you win a champ of champs, you wouldn't hear they say, who win the A-class race? The first thing you have, who win the champ of champs? Because they have bragging rights for the year.
Right.
Until the next Easter reach. So that is it.
It's a type of socialization as well,
right,
and you know, right. You know,
sorry, and this particular meet is a meet with a purpose, right? The guys who have been keeping this art form alive, we need to honor them, and we are going to isolate from the very first fellas. Samuel Calendar is the first man we know on record that brought the goat race to Tobago. He was from Barbados originally, and you will see Pioneer Edition as part of the advertisement, where we're going to be honoring the pioneers of goat racing in Tobago. This is another attempt to sustain the art form, another attempt to keep it fresh. And you know, as you said, some of our customs will die if we do not deliberately do things to keep the art form present and relevant in the society. So we're going to be honoring it's 7 of our pioneers, seven of our pioneers, and they would be honored on the day. The Chief Secretary will be there to give out just some small plaques of appreciation. I have never raced a goat, but I've stood on the track and watched. It's a brutal physical endeavor. It's not for the faint of heart. Those jockeys, it's amazing to see them run through that tangle of goats and ropes and come down. When somebody fall, I'm not surprised. But I'm saying that it's something that it's special and unique to Tobago.
That's right. And you know, as you're talking there, I'm picturing horse racing.
Yes.
And they ride the horse. They are on top of the horse. So
Right.
the horse is the one who is running. But in this instance,
Yeah.
you have to train both goats and jockey.
Yes.
Right? And as you mentioned, sometimes they get entangled in the rope, and you have to be able to master that sport and that art form, as you so bravely call it. Because of course it is a skill.
It's
It's a skill,
And the length of the rope is only 9 feet.
Yes.
If you race with a rope over 9 feet, the judges will call you in. If you'll be disqualified.
Yes.
No spikes. So because the spikes can get entangled with the legs of the animal and hinder them. So you've got to run bare feet or with a sneakers without spike. So there are rules and regulation you have to follow. So with the goat owners now, we have not only preparing the animal, we have to also teach the jockey. Like a former jockey, I will have to teach the jockeys how to handle the rope, how to make up a rope, how to handle it, coming to the finishing line. The main thing is getting out of the boxes. You get left and it's all over. You can't get back. You're all over.
Interestingly too, you have to cross the line holding the rope.
Yeah.
So you have to match the speed of the goat or come close enough, because sometimes if you look at the finish, you'll realize the jockeys are stretched. Because the goat is is running away from you. If you let go of that rope and a goat cross the line, you're lost. Even if the goat cross first. So the jockeys that run these goats are arguably the quickest runners in Tobago. You could argue me, but they have to be right up there with their talent, yeah?
We're talking about goat racing for Easter and now for Heritage. And I'm sitting here, and in this conversation, is there any discussion to have this event more frequent, or to have training throughout the year, so that the young ones coming up, I'm sure the goat owners are of a certain age group. So they start at a certain age and they finish at a certain age. But what about the younger age group? What about, because we're trying to preserve our culture here, right? And as you mentioned, being intentional about it, deliberately doing it. Is there any discussion in terms of how do we preserve this from the young age? Getting corporate Tobago on board, getting other agencies on board, sponsors on board, to ensure that this becomes a part of our culture, and not just on an annual basis, but it's part of our lifestyle. Right? Is there any conversation in that area?
Yes, there is. The last meeting we had with the area representative, some ideas came up, and we're trying to put them into perspective. We're thinking about not even for the goats alone, but because we are the goat owners, we are breeding our own goats, we'll buy sometime. But the jockeys, you can't breed goats and doesn't have jockeys. So we are trying to put some incentives in place for jockeys. We have one already in place that kind of died out, and we want to bring it back, which is there is a race for under 17. So if we get them to come and run from under 17, we mold them in.
That's right.
To adulthood, so that we have them around. But most time the boys under 17 now, they might go away and study. So all our go on. So you take the best out of the lot.
Right.
So we have something in.
Yeah, I think.
And sorry, and you'll appreciate that if Mr. Skeete at 75 is still in the game, but being a jockey 55 years ago, and we still have young fellas on there, something good is happening.
That's right.
Because at the Village Council, or Boko Village Council prize giving ceremony for the last Easter goat race, one of the comments that I made was that posterity is critical. We must be deliberate. There goes that word again, in getting the young men. And I even at one point there were young women trying. trying out for
we
goat.
had female racers.
We had female racers, and one of the female racers I remember, she was a Bishop student, an A-level student. So it's not something that has a status, or as a matter of fact, once you have the talent, once you could run well enough, and you could learn as you are taught, I mean, there's no obstacle. I think maybe female races might be something we might think about bringing back, Mr. Skeete.
Back, yes.
Yeah.
But why it was phrased out is because we couldn't get enough.
Enough
We
women.
get like 4.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense racing only 4, because up to 10 goats could go in a race.
Yeah.
So sometimes you train a goat, you enter it for the female race, but it doesn't have a jockey to go. So
Right.
we kind of phrase it out.
Yeah.
So what we does to find these good runners, like when the Falcon Sports at the stadium, we will go there. Mr. Potts does that very well.
Yeah.
He goes there and he watch to see who is the fastest young boy, and then try to pull him in and have a conversation with
Right.
him. You know,
And that's the way it has to be
Yes,
done. That's
yes,
the way it has to
because
be
it's a
done.
challenge for us to find. Look, there is a young guy by us, and he had potential. He could run. He comes and he swim my goat for me, and I encouraging him. I know he didn't reach up to standard, but I gave him my goat for Easter to run it. I said, whether you're from first or you run last, you will be running it next year. So I try to, that was that kind of, I push it there that next year I want you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And that's how it has to be. And so we have this event coming up on Thursday.
Yes.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the events and what we can expect from it.
Like what is happening on Thursday? We have a 10 race card. Starting time is 3. Gates open at 2.
Right.
And we'll be having like 5 races first, and then Mr. Craig will take it from there, you know, to do the
distribution of the
distribution of the, and then we'll have the other 5 races. Between races, there is a half an hour span between each race. So we're looking at finishing up like 7:30, 8 o'clock, because the facilities is lit.
Okay.
It's
Right.
under lights, so.
And I think during that time, the half point where we're going to be giving out the awards and so on to the surviving pioneers, and also, well, of course, some have passed on, and we don't want this to become a situation where we have to be giving awards posthumously all the time. So we're going to, the relatives of those surviving pioneers will receive on their behalf, and of course, we're going to try to make every year going forward, a part of the program will be devoted to honoring someone. The Chief Secretary was adamant that we must name every building on the compound after one of the pioneers. Well, we wouldn't do it this time. We're going to begin with maybe 1 building this time. And as we go forward, we're going to continue until the facility reflects all the great men that have kept this alive. I think what's interesting, what I learned also is that goat race was the answer, the poor man's answer to horse race. You spoke about horse race and jockey, so I thought I should throw that in. Because the average guy used to look at horse racing and couldn't afford a horse, you couldn't afford the saddles and everything that goes with that. But the goat racing was the answer. And here we are. And if you watch the jockeys, they dress in the same satin colors and bright colors and so on. And the labels on the goats, they label the numbers and everything, just like a horse race. But this time is more human effort than anything else.
But this is a wonderful part of our story, and this part of the story I feel as if it has never been told. It's the first time I'm hearing this.
Yes,
so
yes.
this is a beautiful part of the story that should be packaged
If I could-
whenever we're marketing these
Yes.
events.
And
You know, people need to know the history of things. They need to understand where it came from, and so I'd love to hear more stories in terms of how it started. And
Yeah.
you know, you did make the reference, and I think that we should tell our story in its entirety.
If I could throw one more thing in quickly, is that Buku is not the only place goat race was. Goat race moved from village to village over the years. Over the 95 years, it moved from, it was in Bonaccord.
Yeah, Bonaccord, Canaan, Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
It used to be in Mount Pleasant, not on the recreation ground. As a little boy, I attended goat race where they're building the police station now.
Chauvin.
Chauvin. On
Yeah.
that piece. Here is where goat race start in Mount Pleasant, and
Yeah.
then moved to the recreation.
Right.
Right, and then it went to, we had goat race,
Somebody tell me Patience Hill.
Patience Hill.
Yes, yes.
Patience Hill, but
So-
I never witnessed it
Yes.
in Patience Hill.
So what happens in Buku now is that Buku is the place where it was more consistent, like say over the last 40, 50 years or so. And with that consistency, the facility was done there, respectfully. Yeah. So when we speak about the history of goat race and the pioneers, though it's the mecca of goat racing, basically it's Buku, it's really a Tobago thing, right? And we must give respect, because the pioneers that will be honored are not necessarily from any one particular village.
That's right.
They're from around the island.
We're going to talk more about the history and packaging that story about goat racing here on the island of Tobago in Buku. But the event taking place on Thursday begins at 3 p.m.
Yes.
Is there a cover price to get in? What is the fee to get in?
Yes. The cover price is adults $40, children $20. Well, who is at the gate will use the discretion with the kids. Because like a mom come with 3 or 4 kids, you know, you go easy on her.
Yes.
So we have it kind of, it was late, but with the push of Mr. Craig, and we have a good team in the organization.
Yeah.
We have a good community members, and we're pushing it. And it's still ups and downs, because it have things that we have to put in place even today.
Yeah.
There's men out there, I am here, but there are others out there from the executive committee.
Could you share the name of the executive with the Tobago public?
The name of the executive I have some often is Mr. Derry,
Yes.
President.
Yeah,
Mr. Cuthbert Alexander. He's flexible.
Yes.
He is moving around. He's a committed member, and he's doing like coordinating, you know, organizing. We have Mr. Pissa. Well, I forget his name. Everybody.
Mr. James.
You know, in Tobago, of course, we have those cultural names. You have a village name, a home name.
first.
Yes, that's right.
Mr. James is there. Then we have this boy, this guy.
Doc?
Yeah,
that is Hosford.
Mr. Hosford.
Yeah.
Well, he was our first president.
Yeah.
You know, this was formed in 2000, between 2010 2012.
Yeah.
So that means we make us around 13, 14 years in existence. And it went kind of back when we had the pandemic, but now we're trying to lift it, and we have people who's coming around giving us ideas. Right now we'll be having, we are hoping to have election and sometime in July, you know, and we need people to come around.
Yes.
You know.
And of course, Mr. Winston Skeete, as a member of the steering committee, well, you would have to question the commitment of Mr. Skeete, so here we are.
Absolutely awesome. And so, of course, I want to wish you guys the very best for not just for the event on Thursday, but also in preserving the culture and telling the story and getting the buy-in and the investment to ensure that that part of our culture remains strong on the island of Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Assemblyman and Area Representative Sonny Craig for the Buku area, and also Mr. Winston Skeete, who is a goat owner and a member of the Tobago Goat Owners Association, as we prepare for the event on Thursday afternoon, part of our heritage, goat racing on the island of Tobago. It begins at 3 p.m. this Thursday at the Buku Integrated Facility. Only $40 for adults and $20 for children. So come on out and have a wonderful time at the event if you're looking for something to do this Thursday afternoon. It's a good place to be, and good entertainment to be had, of course, for one and for all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. And as we go for a break, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live.